Your annual strategy meetings that you get so excited about are a complete waste of time. You can't build momentum once a year. I can't really wrap my head around why this concept is so difficult for people to understand. But if we think about the reason behind a strategy meeting, yes, we want to get everybody in alignment, moving in the same direction, and also energize them, get them excited about what's to come in the year ahead. But if we think about energy and excitement and momentum, whenever you have your annual strategy meeting, this is what happens. Everybody's cruising along. Yay, strategy meeting. Everybody's excited. Cool. Okay, now back to work. Oh, okay. Yeah, here's what's happening. Now we're just back to normal operations. You see this trend line here? This doesn't work. I've seen strategy meetings that cost 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. They come in once a year. You're spending that much money and time and energy and travel and time with your employees away from the business to yield some sort of uptick in morale and momentum for this short period of time. How do we solve for this? Well, I think we have smaller and more frequent touch points. What if we broke it down quarterly or monthly? And I recognize, yes, that's still a lot of cost, but instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars flying in people from across the country, paying $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 for some fancy speaker to come in, what if we were to draw this out over a year with quarterly mini strategy sessions? It might look something like this. We get a lot of energy and momentum. We start to taper as expected, but the next quarter comes up. Hey, a little bit more energy and momentum. We start to taper. Hey, Q3, big push. And then end of the year appreciation and thanks. This trend, now look at the impact and how we're creating more consistency throughout the year. It also allows you to pivot and adapt throughout the year. Hopefully you're not shifting major projects and initiatives from quarter to quarter. I know a lot of publicly traded organizations do that. It's kind of unfortunate to see because you can't really make any significant or meaningful progress when you're constantly shifting gears. But if you are focused on lasting results, getting the team excited, helping them understand the state of the organization, the direction that all of you are heading in, consider an approach like this. And maybe you don't bring 100 executives together every quarter like you do here. Maybe you're bringing 20 to 30 to 40 in for each of these. These should be your key leaders in the organization. Once you bring them together, they should be equipped with the necessary leadership skills to delegate, to communicate, to hold people accountable, and make sure that everyone else is aligned. Now, these are skills that are not always well developed, especially in the middle tiers of the organization. Well, hell, let's be honest, even C-level executives don't know how to communicate effectively. They think they do, but that's a topic for another day. You have to make sure that they understand their role is more than just looking at pretty PowerPoint slides and nodding their head yes. They have to communicate what's going on with the team. And a beautiful litmus test that I like to deploy in this regard, whenever I would meet with my teams, I would bring larger groups of people, maybe 15, 20, the leaders, and then you start bringing in some of the high-performing or high-potential employees into these discussions. As we're talking through on these updates, I would have a conversation or turn to one of the newer members of the executive group that was in the room with us and ask them, hey, what do you think is important to me? What do you think is the most important thing with the organization? The answer might surprise you because what you will find, if they don't know the answer, that speaks to a failure on your part. That speaks to a failure on your direct reports in terms of not being able to effectively communicate all the way down through the chain of command. Bonus, you're pulling them into the conversation and making sure that now they do understand. And the more people that you get to understand, it will start to permeate through the organization. Can you do this with this structure of a big annual strategy meeting? Kind of. But then you don't know what's going on throughout the rest of the year. If this is how you have structured things historically or currently, I would consider evaluating doing smaller and more frequent strategy meetings, pulling the right people into the room. Also, it's going to give you insight. Where are the opportunities to develop them as leaders? Because if you find they are not communicating along the way, you might have to spend some time helping them in that regard. If you find they are not delivering on what they committed to in Q1, maybe they need some skills around project management. Maybe they need skills around delegation and accountability. These frequent touch points, it might end up costing marginally more than this big annual strategy meeting, but you are going to see more sustained results and able to actually move things through to completion and keep a better pulse on the organization. Something to think about.